Peterson Farms Seed, a growing company located in the Red River Valley of North Dakota, has been making noise in the hybrid seed business with not only its high-quality corn and soybean hybrids, but by its unique and custom approach to pre-sale and post-sale customer service. Carl Peterson, CEO and founder of Peterson Farms Seed, explains how his company began and how it differs from its competitors.
We started out as kind of an adjunct to the family farm. Julie and I, my wife and partner, have farmed for many years, and we started out as kind of an addition to the family farm. Now, we still farm, but it's kind of reversal of roles. The seed company has gotten to the point where it's much more significant than the farm. So Peterson Farms Seed actually started kind of as a result of an accident. In 1993, there was a lot of scab in the wheat, and so it was virtually unsaleable. So we put in a gravity separator and separated wheat, sold that for market wheat. At the end of that process, we decided that this seed business is kind of fun. We should add some more equipment and become a seed company. Shortly thereafter, we recognized that we didn't really know what we were doing, and that we needed to not only learn about the genetics of seed rather than just the processing, but I remember very clearly waking up one morning, laying in bed looking at the ceiling and thinking, my heavens, I'm a seed salesman. I never really intended to become a seed salesman, and I don't know how to do that. So that was sort of the beginning.
Where are the current Peterson Farms Seed markets?
Our company's only 15 years old. We've achieved a position as the largest independent soybean company in this region. We believe that we can, and very quickly, that we believe we can achieve the position as the #1 independent corn company in this territory. And we've got pretty high goals. We're ambitious people. We plan to go far.
Being a farmer himself, Carl understood from the beginning that growing conditions on farms, even farms geographically close together, can often vary substantially. This knowledge provides the basic platform for Peterson Farms Seed approach to their markets.
Well, every farm and every field has its own uniqueness to it. I mean, there's different soil types, and many different farmers may farm the same soil types, but they don't necessarily farm them in the same way. And so the key really is not to find something that's a one-hit wonder, something that does particularly well one year in one set of environmental conditions. The key is to be a winner over the long term.
This year, Peterson Farms Seed is launching its Plus 20 program, an agronomic program designed to yield 20 more bushels per acre than their growers' current experience. Carl explains.
We have currently going, and just really getting going, our Plus 20 program, which is an agronomic program to take growers wherever they may be and to try and look for ways to add 20 bushels to their yields. Now, in the southern part of our territory, growers might be averaging 170, 180 bushels to add 20 to that. In the more northwestern part of our territory, growers might be averaging 120 bushels, but we also believe they can add 20 bushels to that. So you need to consider that each region and each grower has a different situation and try and fit the agronomic solutions to that grower. So when you look at how can a grower add 20 bushels to their yield, you need to look at the weakest link of their chain. So every grower has a different situation. They may have a situation where they're maybe planting a little too deep or too shallow, or perhaps they're running that planter too fast. You can tell those things by doing a uniformity in a planter evaluation, and that's part of our program. You need to look at the fertility, not just the major things like nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, but you also need to look at, is there enough sulfur in the soil to meet that yield goal. Later on in the season, you need to discover, okay, does the plant putting the ear on the highest node possible, or has it dropped an ear? And if it has, why has that happened? And following those details through to the end is how a grower can improve his yield. It's really nothing particularly difficult about it, but it is a complicated and detailed process. And one of our roles as a company is to follow that process with those good growers, because that's the only way that our products can meet their potential on that grower's farm.
We also asked Carl how marketing fits into the branding and awareness of the Peterson Farms Seed Company.
Yeah, I said earlier that I woke up one morning and discovered that I was a seed salesman. It wasn't really what I had set out to become, but of course I felt that, you know, the old saying that if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door was true, but I discovered it really isn't. You can have the best product, you can have the best fit, but if nobody knows about it, you're not going to be successful. So we really discovered that we really need some extensive marketing efforts, advertising, and those kinds of things to supplement the word of mouth, so people will discover, you know, what we have to offer. We've been working with the H2M company for the last couple of years, and obviously they bring a lot of expertise to the marketplace. They're very knowledgeable about the media markets in our target area, which stations we want to run on, which ones we want to avoid, which ones are good values and which ones aren't. We've run a brand identity television commercial that we've had a lot of great comments about. I think has been effective, and I think their efforts have helped us to coalesce our radio strategy and our print strategy to something that makes sense for a company our size. Our product, you know, the most common question that we had was, well, who are you, or where are you from? We've never heard of you. And of course, as we've tried to move into more markets into the Minnesota down the interstate, we knew we were going to face that, and we believe that our television advertising was particularly effective in getting our name before the people that we wanted to sell to, so that they would have at least have some idea of who we are, what kind of values that we have as a company, and what our programs might have to offer. You know, there's a lot of change going on in the seed industry, but there's also a tremendous amount of change in the media, and of course we know the seed industry well. We're not really experts on the media. When you have you know, Facebook marketing and Twitter and all these kinds of things, along with large companies consolidating radio stations, we're not really able to maintain the expertise that we need to monitor those things and effectively use those markets. And that's one of the reasons that a company like H2M is able to help us to master those markets that we need in order to grow our business.
We asked Carl what his goals are for the future.
Well, when we think about the future of Peterson Farms Seed, say 10 years down the road, we just can hardly contain our enthusiasm because of the potential. We believe that the market will recognize that kind of agronomic expertise that we bring to the market is really what growers are going to need to cope with the complications that the future brings. Right now we're dealing with a few biotech traits. As the future unfolds, we'll be looking at multiple traits in multiple packages. And just like other agronomic needs, not every grower needs all of those traits. And so where they fit, they pay off tremendously. Where they don't fit, they just add cost. And as an independent company, we're not beholden to any one trait provider to sell a particular package. We have the freedom to sell what's best for each grower.
From the beginning, Peterson Farms Seed has been built upon deep experience, knowledge, and unbridled passion for delivering the best possible products and services for its customers.
One of the things that we put a lot of effort into is to try and help measure product performance and give some predictive value of how those products are going to perform in a grower's field. Products don't necessarily perform the same one year to the next. In fact, there's radical differences, and growers don't always realize that because they're planting that on their farm. They expect similar performance. If you look at example, 2009 was a very cold year. 2010 is shaping up to be a relatively warm year. And we would expect that the products that did exceptionally well in 2009 may only be average in 2010, and vice versa. And that's something that we really feel that our testing program helps growers to understand. So one of the things that we really put a lot of emphasis on is informational sessions and products for growers, because they've got a lot of things to keep up on, and sometimes the finer points of the agronomic changes is not something that they're really able to keep up with. So we have educational seminars each year. We bring John McGillicuddy up, who's a nationally known agronomist, to address the problems that growers have on their farms. And I think growers really appreciate that. That's part of the difference between our approach and that of a more impersonal large company. One of the challenges that we face is that as products become more complex, it's more difficult for growers to evaluate which products really are performing in their fields. That's one of the things that we really put a lot of stock in our replicated testing and the regional focus of that, because we know from experience that just because a product did well in one field this year, that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll do well in the same field next year. And growers need to come to grips with the complexity of product performance, and that's one of the things that we feel we can help them do. And that really takes a different approach than is traditional in the seed company. I really do love what I do every day. It's such a joy to work with the people that I get to work with, and to have the freedom to make choices that we believe are going to fit our growers without having to answer to somebody, in an office building in St. Louis or Des Moines or something like that. So it's a lot of fun. We're just looking forward to the future.